A very good evening. We're coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Mahina Bongzel.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. Let's start off with a look at your headlines. Debilitating strike launched by All Ceylon Health Service Union called off. Workers to report for duty tomorrow. 7 deaths reported in the first 5 months of the year owing to the influenza virus. 143 cases identified. A river of humanity greets the Ranbhoomi rally as it reaches Ginigathena. Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa further remanded.
On your top story on Primetime News tonight, the All Ceylon Health Service Union says that the strike action launched by health workers will be called off and that the workers will report to work tomorrow morning. President of the union, Samantha Korale-Arachi, made this statement earlier this evening subsequent to discussions with Health Ministry officials.
The strike action was launched yesterday, citing 10 demands which included the payment of salary arrears and providing a special allowance of 3,000 rupees. The All Ceylon Health Service Union said that around 40,000 health workers of 30 grades took part in the strike action. The strike action severely affected functions at outpatient departments at several hospitals. The strike also had a debilitating effect on surgeries and other services. Measures were taken to curtail the effects of the strike action by calling for the assistance of the security forces to keep hospitals functional. People were also inconvenienced as a result of strike action, impacting the functioning of hospital mortuaries.
report මේ අද ස්ට්‍රයික් එකක් අද මොකද්ද තියෙනවා කියලා මේ දෙන්න කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ.
ලෙඩ්ඩු තමයි මෙතන අසරණ වෙන්නේ.
බලන්න මහත්තයා උදේ 5:00 බස් එකේ ඇවිල්ලා මේ පොඩි දරුවෝ තියන්නේ මෙච්චර රත් යදුනා මේගොල්ලෝ මේ කරන වැඩේ වැරදි.
ඉල්ලන්නේ මේ වගේ දේවල් ආයි නැවත කරන්න එපා කියලා.
මගේ කකුලේ ස්ටෙප් එක කටු වගේ තියෙන ඒවා ගලවන්න. දැන් ඒක ගලවන්න වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ මේ ස්පිරිතාලේ ස්ට්‍රයික් එකක්.
අදත් ස්ට්‍රයික් කිව්වා ඒක කියන්න බෑ කියලා කිව්වා දේදෙන දෙරේද කියලා.
මොහල කවුරුවත් නැහැ. මේ රත්මලාන ඉඳලා මේ ආවේ අන්ධ විද්‍යාලේ ඉඳලා මේ බබට මුත්‍රා එකක් ගන්න කියලා ඒක මුත්‍රා එක ගන්න නැහැ ඊයේ තරම් ආව බබා ගන්න නැහැ අදත් තරම් ආව බබා ගන්න නැහැ
වැටලා ගෙදර ඉඳලා එක්කන් ආයි බබා කමෙන් ඉඳලා දැන් එක්කන් ආව දැන් අර ඉන්නෝ දැන් බයකට වැඩි අතනට වෙලා ළමයාව ගෙනියන්නවත් පාටුවට කිසිම දෙයක් නැහැ
දැන් අපි අන්තිම අසරණ බවටපත් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ බෙහෙත් ගන්න ඇවිල්ලා දැනට
ගෙවල් වලින් ගෙන්නගෙන තමයි එහාට මෙහාට ලෙඩ්ඩු අරන් ගිහලා ඒගොල්ලොන්ට ස්ට්‍රේ ගන්නට ස්ටෑන්ඩ් ගන්නට අරමුණට කයන්නේ
හැමදාම ස්ට්‍රයික් කිනකොට මිනිස්සු කොහොමද බෙහෙත් ටිකක්වත් අරගෙන යන්නේ කියලා ආවොත් ඉතින් හැමදාම ස්ට්‍රයික් එකක් තමයි කියන්නේ.
Meanwhile, hospital workers engaging in the strike action launched a protest march from the Ministry of Health to the Lipton roundabout this afternoon. The health workers then marched back to the Ministry of Health and demonstrated opposite the ministry premises. Following discussions early this evening, trade unions have decided to call off the strike and report to work tomorrow morning. We have received this circular for the increase of 1,000 rupees. Remember that we chose to conduct a strike action for 2 days because we have spared time for another demonstration. One trade union behaved in this manner. I am disappointed as a former member of the trade unions of the health services sector. I am disappointed that the trade unions stooped so low. I am however happy that they have at least now decided to conclude the strike action by 6 AM tomorrow because we also need to save lives while fighting for our rights.
7 deaths have been reported since January this year owing to the influenza virus. According to the epidemiology unit, 143 cases of influenza have been reported during this time frame.
The most recent deaths associated with the influenza virus were reported from the Kegol General Hospital. 35-year-old PB Priyanka Kumuduni was admitted to the Kegol General Hospital on the 25th of this month with high fever. The victim was expecting a child at the time of her admission. Doctors were able to save the child, but Kumuduni was not so fortunate. Priyanka Kumuduni's final rites were performed in the Hemmatagama Madhuriya area this evening. Meanwhile, the influenza virus also claimed the life of 38-year-old W. Lakmali, a resident of Attapitiya, Ussapitiya.
It has not yet been confirmed as a respiratory syndrome. We suspect it to be the influenza AH1N1. Investigations are being carried out at present.
There are 143 influenza A H1N1 cases reported and confirmed by Medical Research Institute from January up to now has been reported and confirmed, and there had been 7 deaths among these reported 143 cases.
Doctors warn the public to exercise caution in the event of a cold, throat infection accompanied with fever.
It is extremely important that one consults a specialist doctor if one contracts a cold, throat infection, cough or symptoms similar to pneumonia, accompanied with fever and body pains. We focus our attention on expectant mothers, secondly on the elderly and those with non-communicable diseases. We also focus on children. If children below the age of 2 contract this virus, it can become acute.
This virus spreads sporadically during the year. This is identified as a human influenza, an influenza virus that can be contracted only by humans. There is a risk of this virus spreading during the months of May, June and July. There is also a possibility of the virus spreading during December, January and February as well. I have also to remind the public that the influenza virus can remain throughout the whole year.
Newsfirst contacted Professor Malik Piris, attached to the University of Hong Kong, who is an expert on the influenza virus.
I understand that there have been a few deaths associated with influenza in Sri Lanka in recent weeks. This is not surprising. The normal human influenza viruses, H1N1 or H3N2, do occasionally cause severe disease and death, particularly in older people. So almost certainly these severe illnesses caused by influenza are due to the normal human influenza viruses. Now, I gather there is some concern as to whether these cases could be due to unusual viruses like avian influenza. I would again say that it is extremely unlikely that that is the case. But the way to identify that would be to test the virus that is identified from these patients to characterize them as H1N1 or H3N2, and if it is not one of those seasonal influenza viruses, then you have to think of other influenza agents. But as I say, it would be extremely unlikely that such a virus would end up in Sri Lanka at this point in time.
4 people were arrested with firearms in a raid carried out by excise officials in Mullairiyava yesterday. While the suspects were handed over to the police thereafter, an extensive investigation was launched into the incident. A group of officials of the excise department had raided a house in the Delgahawatta area, which comes under the purview of the Mullairiyava Police Division, following a tip-off received on a heroin racket. During the raid, the excise officials found a T56 firearm and a 9mm pistol in the house. 30 rounds of live ammunition for the T56 firearm and 6 rounds of live ammunition for the 9mm pistol were recovered. 2 swords were also seized by the excise officials. 4 suspects who were in the house were arrested and handed over to the Mullairiyava police. The police said that 2 of the 4 suspects are connected to several crimes. 1 suspect had arrived in Mullairiyava from a different area for a court appearance with regard to another crime.
Meanwhile, 1 person was shot dead in the Vellaveli Mandur area in Batticaloa yesterday. The victim was shot with a 9mm pistol.
The shooting was carried out by 2 armed individuals on a motorbike. The victim, who was shot by the unidentified gunman, has been identified as Sachitanathan Madhyasan, an employee of the Navindavali Pradesh Sabha. The gunman had shot Sachitanathan in front of his residence and fled the scene. Area residents, outraged by the murder, staged a demonstration opposite the Batticaloa District Secretariat today. The demonstrators demanded that the suspects be arrested and their details be exposed to the country. The demonstrators also obtained signatures for a public petition.
The Supreme Court ordered today that parliamentarian Tiran Alas not be arrested and directed that the status quo at present be maintained until the fundamental rights petition filed by the MP is taken up again. The petition is to be taken up before the Supreme Court again on the 11th of June.
The fundamental rights petition filed by MP Thiran Alus was considered before a bench comprising of Chief Justice K. Sripavan and Justice Eva Vanasundara and Rohini Mara Singha today. Representing MP Thiran Alus along with Attorney-at-Law Sugat Caldera in court today, President's Counsel Romesh De Silva pointed out that the transactions at the Irada Institute, which is being reinvestigated by the Police Special Investigations Unit, was brought before the court 9 years ago. De Silva argued that against a backdrop where the Attorney General at the time had informed court that there was insufficient evidence to proceed with the case, the decision to reinvestigate the matter is clearly politically motivated. He pointed out that while his client is cooperating fully with the investigation, since he has many businesses established in the country, he has no need of leaving the country. Considering the submissions made, the Supreme Court postponed hearings of the petition to the 11th of June. The court informed the Attorney General that if further submissions need to be made, such submissions could be made through an affidavit on the 4th of June. The court also ordered the petitioner to make any submissions regarding the Attorney General's affidavit via an affidavit on the 8th of June.
The bench considered the submissions made by President's Counsel Romesh De Silva and the submissions made by the Attorney General's Department and decided to take up the petition again on the 11th of June. An arrest cannot be made in the meantime. The Attorney General was ordered to maintain the status quo.
The court did not issue an order, but the Additional Solicitor General noted that the court must be respected and that he will not be arrested until then.
Former Minister of Economic Development Basil Rajapaksa and 3 other officials attached to the Ministry of Economic Development were further remanded until the 10th of June. The group was remanded after they were produced before the Kadewala Magistrates Court today.
Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa, the former Secretary of the Ministry of Economic Development Dr. Nihal Jayatilaka, the former Director General of the Divinaguma Development Department RAAK Ranavaka and another director attached to the department RPB Tilakasiri were produced before courts today. Basil Rajapaksa was once again brought to court in an ambulance. Even though an application was filed to grant them bail today, Magistrate Dhammika Hemapala rejected the application.
The magistrate today rejected the bail application that we filed. As a result, our future course of action will be to take the necessary legal actions in this regard. At this moment, we are planning on presenting a separate application to the High Court. We plan on presenting this tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court today considered 3 fundamental rights petitions requesting the release on bail of 3 officials, including former Minister Basil Rajapaksa, who are currently under remand custody on charges of financial anomalies at the Divinaguma Department. The bench comprised of Chief Justice K. Sripavan and Justice Priyasad Depp and Rohini Mara Singha.
Appearing on behalf of the 3 petitioners, President's Counsel Romesh De Silva informed the court that the arrest and remanding of the 4 individuals is illegal and that they should be released because their fundamental human rights have been violated. President's Counsel Romesh De Silva made submissions to court for about 1.5 hours. The petitions will be taken up again on the 5th and 5th of June. President's Counsel K. Kanageswaran was present representing Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, while various other lawyers were present representing other ministers.
As you can see, a river of humanity came together today for the Run Bhumi Rally for Unity, symbolizing the strength of a nation united in diversity. People flocked in unprecedented numbers in Gamphala, Navalapitiya and Ginigathena today to make their mark on the Run Bhumi Rally for Unity as it journeys across the country, bringing Sri Lankan hearts together brick by brick. Now this Run Bhumi Rally will be travelling to 100 cities across Sri Lanka within 40 days, and our journalists have been covering this and bringing you all these visuals, these heartwarming visuals of people who are leaving aside religion, race and all other differences to come together to build a better Sri Lanka. Let's take a look at more details from the Ranbhoomi Rally's journey today.
The journey of the Ranbhoomi Rally commenced for the 20th day in Gampala this morning. The name of Gampala was added to the Ranbhoomi Rally for Unity amidst public praise. The residents of Gampala expressed their praise and enthusiastically participated in the Ranbhoomi Rally for Unity, devoid of racial or religious barriers. The people of Navalapitiya of all religions and castes gathered as a single river of humanity to extend their wishes to the Ranbhoomi Rally for Unity as it arrived in Navalapitiya.
I need to express my gratitude to the citizen network that reflects peace, harmony and brotherhood among the nation.
The people of Navalapitiya marked their name on the Ranbhoomi Rally. The rally arrived at the end point of today's leg of the journey in Ginigathena this evening. The people of Ginigathena too came together to welcome the Ranbhoomi Rally. The people of Hatton, Aurelia and Valley-Mudder will receive the opportunity tomorrow to symbolise their commitment to the journey to foster national unity, coexistence and harmony. The Ranbhoomi Rally, organised by MTV, MBC Newsfirst, Colombo Port City and the National Youth Services Council, will visit these towns tomorrow on its journey across the island.
Join us now for the nation's biggest rally.
The Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division conducted a raid this evening at a location owned by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority in Slave Island.
Materials worth 39 million rupees that were supposed to be distributed during the election period were discovered during the raid. The police FCID also recovered a stock of sports equipment and saris.
Speaking to Newsfirst today, JVP Politburo member, parliamentarian Sunil Handunethi noted that while progress is being made in international investigations into fraud and corruption in sports, similar progress is not being seen in Sri Lanka.
What happened
with FIFA today is actually an example for other countries in the world. In the recent past, we too informed relevant government institutions, including the Bribery and Corruption Commission, regarding such fraud and corruption at the cricket board. These must be investigated swiftly and a transparent and open election must be held for Sri Lanka cricket. This applies to other sports administrations as well. Sportsmen and women have been driven to despair while the sports sector is being corrupted. We are of the opinion that it would be good if a lesson is learned from what is happening in the world today and if corruption is eradicated from sport.
මෙවැනි හෙළිදර කළා ක්‍රීඩාව ක්‍රීඩකීන් සඳහා උතුරු කරනවා නම් වැදගත් කියන එක තමයි අපේ අදහස.
Several demonstrations and Satyagraha campaigns were carried out in various parts of the country today as well in protest against the rape and murder of a school student, Vidya Sivaloganathan, in Jaffna. The demonstrators demand that the law be strictly enforced over the incident.
Students and teachers of Sri Shammuga College, Trincomalee staged a demonstration this morning in protest of the murder of Vidya Sivaloganathan. A protest was held in the Kiliveddi area in Trincomalee, urging that the law be strictly enforced against suspects of the rape and murder. The protest was held in Akkarepattu, Aledi Vembu and Adala Chennai areas of the Ampara district today. Meanwhile, a protest was staged in Amma Street, Colombo today, demanding justice for the murdered victim. We urge that an investigative committee be appointed to conduct extensive investigations not only to the rape of Vidya, but all cases where students and women were victims to sexual harassment in the post-war periods. Convening a media briefing, rights group Women for Rights emphasized that it is a regretting fact that harassment against women in the south has now spread to the north.
What was happening in the south is now spread to the north as well. If they are trying to use Vidya's incident to incite racism or bury whatever freedom the people have won, be it in the north or the south, this is not what should happen.
The incident has also come under much scrutiny on the political stage. It is with utmost disgust that we condemn this incident. Never have we heard of 9 men gang raping a school student. This implies the fall of John Amaratunga's police. Our president, the first citizen of this country, when he visited Jaffna to attend another ceremony, met with the mother and family of the victim and promised that justice will be served. But the subject minister is compiling a report. This is the difference. Why was the public outraged? Because law enforcement officials did not act at the correct time and the correct way. His Excellency the President visited Jaffna in haste just for this matter and made a clear statement that the perpetrators will be punished under special court. This should happen. We kindly request that you take up the leadership to immediately put the decision taken by you into effect before this country forgets this incident and these inhumane suspects be punished in public.
Welcome back to the news. Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy says that management of the economy has become the most important factor at present. The Deputy Chairman of the Pathfinder Foundation made these remarks at a press conference that was held following the introduction of an economic policy reform roadmap presented by the Pathfinder Foundation.
The document titled Charting the Way Forward, Prosperity for All was launched today.
I think in recent months the whole country has been preoccupied with constitutional reforms, electoral reforms, improving governance. These are all clearly extremely important issues. But it's arguable that the management of the economy is the most important thing. Because the impact on the everyday lives of the people of the fortunes of the economy is of paramount importance. So a high priority has to be attached to improving our human resources as quickly as possible. So these are the 3 big challenges: macroeconomic stabilization, structural reforms to get new growth sources, and developing our human resources so that we have a competitive workforce that's able to take us forward to middle income, upper middle income status and beyond.
At the concluded presidential election, we decided that we must at the very least submit to the main political parties the fundamental policies that are required to increase the economic growth rate.
The Pathfinder Foundation points out in its roadmap that the country's economy is in urgent need of reforms. The Pathfinder Foundation points out that it is important that all handouts, subsidies and other welfare measures included in the manifestos of the political parties should be costed and specific measures should be identified for financing the incremental costs involved. The Pathfinder Foundation notes that while this will enable the voters to assess the financial viability of the promises included in the manifestos of political parties, it should also assist in making a clean break from the auction of non-existent resources which has characterized party manifestos in the past.
It has become essential for Sri Lanka to achieve an economic growth rate of 10% or above and sustain such growth over the long term. Economic growth will not continue this way in the long term. If the necessary long-term policy background is not created, it is reducing every year. Economic growth this year will be less than last year. Sri Lanka does not have the investment environment that investors are looking for. We do not know because we receive many things for free, but all of this is obtained on debt.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says it has identified prospective heads of missions for 33 Sri Lankan missions abroad. Speaking at the inaugural weekly media briefing of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, spokesperson Maheshini Kolonne noted that 17 of the 33 persons identified are from the Foreign Service.
There are 40 vacant heads of mission posts for which 33 nominations are in the process of being made. This means that persons have been identified for all 33 positions and their names are in the process of being submitted for agreement to different countries. As and when agreement is received, the nominations will be announced to all of you. Out of the 33 persons identified for heads of mission posts, 17 are from the Sri Lanka Foreign Service.
Minister of Housing and Samurdhi Sajid Premadasa says the country has not received any kind of benefit through the previous government's development programs. The minister made these claims at an event held in Thisamaharama today.
They said that the Nanasala centres will revolutionize the country's information and technology sector, but that revolution was limited only to that. The previous government did not create Wi-Fi zones in the country, but instead they created casino zones. The casino zones only created immorality. It did not benefit the children or the citizens of the country. These immorality zones did not benefit the country at all. The event, held to declare open a Wi-Fi zone near the Thisamaharama bus depot, was organised under the programme of taking ICT to the villages.
And with that, we conclude today's edition of Primetime News. To keep abreast with all that's happening in the world around you and here in Sri Lanka, do log on to our website, that's www.newsfirst.lk, or simply visit our Twitter page and also our Facebook page. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bangzal.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. Good night.